live stream notes on 6.1, the start of Life Day, finally, and a dive into how ranked PvP works with a special guest, KogASS. We'll introduce him in just a second. These topics and more coming up on this episode of the Escape podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. Our broadcast astromech today is EPC 321. And playing alongside me is Seema. But before I say hi to you, Seema, I'm going to say hi to KogASS, who is an awesome streamer and SWTOR player and someone who's been in the community for quite a while. He's got a YouTube channel as well. Somebody I've met in person multiple times, including most recently at the Cantina event in Chicago. Maybe that was the first time. Was that the first time we met in person, KogASS?
First time was in Chicago. Second time was in New York.
In New York.
Correct?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, in New York. So, hello, KogASS, and how are you doing? And what have you been up to?
Oh, I'm doing well, good sir. I have been just playing some SWTOR these past couple of days, trying to get geared up, min-maxed properly. It's a pain in the butt getting the gear, and just really enjoying that. School's also been kicking my butt. You just got to keep plugging away. The class I'm in is currently just going through the holidays, so that's always fun.
Oh yeah, that is a bummer.
What are you studying?
Technical management with an emphasis on project management.
Yeah, so that sounds like something that would kick anybody's butt.
And that sounds like a thing that would go through the holidays.
Yeah, it does.
I'm in a related field. Well, great. I know you've been PvPing some as well because I was watching your stream last night. How's the streaming going and the PvP going in general? I mean, obviously we're going to talk quite a bit about it later in the show.
I've got lots of thoughts on it. Lots of thoughts on 6.0, how tacticals have changed the game for everybody. New set piece bonuses, how some classes are just really getting strong from those, and just other classes just got a little bit of a buff that they need to get those, but they're still being completely left in the dirt by the other
double
classes.
rocket out, though.
Double rocket out. It doesn't help out as much. Imagine that.
Imagine that. Huh. Imagine that. Well, we'll repeat it at the end of the show, but so people don't have to wait that long. Where can people find you, and where should people look for KogASS online?
KogASS online. Two best places are my Twitter account and my Twitch, www.twitch.tv/KogASS, and then KogASS, and then an underscore at the very end. And the same thing with the Twitter. So it would be www.twitter.com/KogASS_.
Awesome. Well, welcome, and also welcome to you, Seema.
Why, thank you, Max.
What have you been up to, Seema?
I know it's going to be shocking to hear that one thing I've been up to is MFN. We just finished our MFN Tuesday night. Tonight we killed the Grinch, as BC called him. That's the eyeless, because he was going to steal Life Day, so we killed him.
Yeah, I like that.
And then we killed.
Twist.
Yeah, I did too. Then we killed Toxin a couple times, which is cool because we can't always snag a world boss on a Tuesday night because sometimes we don't have the patience to wait around or don't want to compete with another group for them or whatever. So that was good. We went to Nar Shaddaa, threw some snowballs, and we hugged some Wookiees, which is surprisingly, I mean, the hug animation is awesome, but finding the right place to stand and do it is a little bit fiddly. But the hugging, I'll just stick with the hugging animation is awesome.
Yeah.
And the Wookiee kind of puts his arms out and he hugs you too, and yeah, I recommend it. Especially if you're feeling cold and it's like -5 in Chicago or something, go get a Wookiee hug.
Oh, there you go. And did we decide that the achievement for hugging 1,000 was the rug burn codex entry?
I don't know. What I heard people say in general, which isn't really a good barometer, but someone who was like at 9.99 and someone said, "Go take a shower, man."
There you go. Exactly.
And then my favorite thing was someone in Guild said, "Well, my dog's kind of like a Wookiee." So I'm like, "Oh, cool. Hug your dog."
Well, that's nice. This
Yeah.
is probably a
So anyway,
personal
yeah.
achievement.
So let's moving on. Max, how are you doing?
Also doing well. Had fun with those things. Was doing a bunch of the usual things this week in the game. Some PvP as I took my Sork, who's the character I usually PvP on, fully to conquest by just doing enough regs, as the pros call it, which was fine. I also, now that we had the update to 6.0.1, got back into crafting. I'm back. I am back in the game. People keep asking me if I'm back. I'm thinking I'm back. That's my Keanu Reeves impression there. I am making augments. I'm making the AUG 74s, the purple ones. I got all of the schematics except Redoubt because nobody buys those. I'll probably get it eventually, but they're dumb. Nobody buys them. People buy them every once in a while. I feel bad because nobody should ever buy them, but there's that. I also then sold a few augments to the tune of probably about 100 million credits. So that's not bad. And I'll probably continue to make and sell some. I logged back into the game after the patch, after the update today, and I swear I lost 3. Maybe I'm wrong, because I did have, a lot of credits sitting around. So maybe I was fine, but I swear I put 3 or 4 up on the GTN this morning, and I logged back in and they were not on the GTN or in my mail or in my inventory. But maybe I'm just crazy, so I'm going to let that
I think I
go.
have to do that because I spent probably half of my total amount of credits just once 6.0 dropped, just doing everything that everyone's doing, like getting crafting characters to 600, buying gifts for companions.
Right. I spent probably 50 million credits just on that kind of thing. On, I got another million, and 3 million a weekend to Kai Zeiken because you're buying that stuff off of him.
Right,
8 million or 6 or 7 million for your set pieces off of the set piece vendor. You're just dropping credits all over the place. So I probably spent about 50, 60 million credits just on stuff. Made a bunch back, so netted a loss of 60 million. Now that I made enough augments to net
I was going to
up
say
100
I spent
million.
more than that.
Yeah, well, I'm because
and I haven't made any of it back.
Well, I mean, you were probably getting some off of dailies and the weekly and that kind of thing. So you're probably net down a lot, but lost even more because you've been as you level up, as you level your characters up, you get credits. As we do operations, you get credits. You don't even realize that you're getting credits along the way, and we're still blowing through them.
That's true.
So yeah, that's what I was doing too. So now that I'm back into the crafting game, get some of those credits back. All right, as you said, we've got things to get to tonight, Seema, so let's talk about the news.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
News items this week, besides the exciting one, a couple boring ones that we'll just go through relatively quickly. Another update from Mike Bradley, and we appreciate him. We appreciate these updates, and it's really good to see.
PvP Mike.
Yeah, PvP Mike. Season 11 actions, those were detailed in another post from Mike Bradley again. Continued focus on this, continued updates, more opportunity to ensure that everyone can be confident that they're doing their best to try to keep the cheaters out of PvP, so that's great. And then a couple notes on the Season 12 changes. We'll talk about this a little bit because some of this is going to impact questions that I have about how to get weapons that are on fire, which is really what I'm worried about. So we'll get to that later. But check out that post if you want to keep up to date with Mike Bradley's updates to the community, which we appreciate.
We also had a minor patch today, 6.0.2a, which fixed 6 or so bugs or glitches or minor things. The most interesting one might be that if your feet have been disappearing lately because you're wearing the Furious Gladiator's graves, and that has been fixed. And if you had achieved silver rating in Season 11, you should now find that you get the flare for that properly.
Excellent.
And a couple other little issues.
Nice. So, did either of those affect you, KogASS? Because you probably have Furious Gladiator stuff, whereas we do not.
No, nothing seemed to affect me. I got all my flares on my tunes.
So your feet were not disappearing. So that's something we can not
You know
not
what? I
fear.
didn't even look for my feet.
Right.
I gotta make sure I can see first. I don't know.
Yeah. Also in the news, as you can see, and we'll talk about the live stream in a little bit more detail. But the PTS is up. We are in the Alderaan stronghold. We won't do too much. I'll just be wandering around. Maybe we'll do a more detailed stronghold. But guys, come up here real quick. There's one thing that I'm going to show off, and it'll be recorded. The coolest unlock I've ever seen, the coolest unlock animation I've ever seen in a stronghold. We are now going to witness it. So if you watched the live stream, Chuck and Charles and Eric did not click this box. They did not do the unlock because they didn't want to spoil it, and now I see why. In fact, I clicked this box.
So now we're gonna spoil it.
Well, yeah, we'll spoil it for you. I guess if you don't want this to be spoiled, then
avert your gaze.
Avert your gaze for a moment. But this was amazing. So they did not click this. Wait, can I not click the box? Oh, I broke it. I broke it. I got in here on my stupid. Let me try Control U. I unlocked the stronghold. Oh, this is a bug for them. I can tell them this bug. Oh no, I broke it. Okay, later in the show I will do this again in the guild stronghold where I could unlock it. This cliff wall is what gets unlocked with this box, and something amazing happens to unlock
I
it.
thought you were gonna spoil it for everybody. You're just gonna tell us instead
Well,
of
I'm just
showing
saying.
it? No.
Well, I think everyone should at least know that part. Watch that cliff wall, because if you're looking in the wrong direction, it's like a 2-second animation. You will miss it completely, and you will be sad. So watch that cliff wall. That's something gets unlocked in that direction. So Alderaan Stronghold, it is now live on the PTS. They're looking for feedback. Post your feedback in the forums, like bugs like this that I found. I unlocked it. I went back to the fleet and I decommissioned the stronghold. Then I got it back because I thought I would get to do it again, and I don't. And now it's not unlocked, and it's a problem. So I will tell them about that. The only confirmed bug that they noted in the notes in the dev tracker was that the intro cinematic is broken, which you'll see and you'll notice they know that. Anything else that you want changed? As I wander around here, I will turn on hooks. You'll want to do that as well. Any place you would like extra hooks or hooks to be moved around, you'll want to provide that kind of feedback to them. You can go ahead and do that. All right, and let's wrap it up then with the live stream, Seema, which a fun little live stream this week.
Yeah, it was. It was mostly a tour of this stronghold that we're standing in now. So Charles and Eric gave quite an extensive exploratory tour of the new stronghold, which it's very cool. It's huge, and they made several comments about how they tried to get, how Alderaan has more than one climate, so they tried to get like settings where they would have both of those climates, the snow and the sort of meadowland climate,
Yeah.
as well as
hey,
some of the
KogASS
sort of
invited us over to his version of the stronghold here. Come in here while you're talking about it, and we'll do this unlock.
All right. I don't see an invite though. So yeah, so that's they talked about that quite a bit. Now I do see an unlock. I mean, invite. Sorry, I have my notes on the same page as my game window. Okay. That's when they said that the stronghold will be on the PTS, which is where we are right now, and why you can see the stronghold here. And they also mentioned that with 6.1 there will be brief story along the lines of Hearts and Minds size story. So not a big story coming there.
That sounds small.
There, they continue to look at tuning all the current features. So gearing, crafting, and renown. So they're still collecting and reading feedback. The biggest one to me, I think, is still crafting, because I still hear a lot of people saying, I know Max said he's back into it. I haven't really dived into it yet, but I know some people are still thinking that it's too much.
Yes. And some things are still quite expensive or too expensive. Some things that I thought should have been a little bit cheaper aren't as cheap as I thought they would be. It's it's a system, and systems are there
Yeah.
for a reason. They increased the schematic discovery rate from blue to purple on the augments from 5% up to 10%, for example. I expected to go up to something like 25. It really wasn't that bad though, and it felt worse looking at it before I started doing it, and then it wasn't all that bad. So we'll see. I'm gonna play with it a bit. I think some of the lower level items I think are just still ridiculously expensive, and no one should ever bother to ever make them. But the higher level items, being as costly and as difficult to make as they are, is probably worth it because they're good. And then there's some other side elements, like Sci-Fi Gene in the chat room is mentioning no new artifice crystal color types. So there's other things that they could potentially be adding. All right, come on up here, Seema. We'll do this unlock real quick, and then we'll move on to some community news.
All right,
KogASS
I'm on my
will
way.
click the button. I like this little campfire over here. This is nice. Nice little area.
I didn't catch that about the crystal colors. There should be new colors. All right, I'm here.
All right, KogASS, on the count of 3, count it down and click the button. Everybody look away if you don't want it to be spoiled. Count it down.
All
And
right,
click the
in
button.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, nice.
Wasn't that
Ooh.
cool? Wasn't that cool?
And there's Killick hives.
Oh, wow, that was pretty cool. Now, in being a cool guy, I would look away from that and RP walk slowly away, and not look at it. But if you know what I mean, yeah. So pretty awesome.
Yeah, we know what you mean.
In community news, our MFNs continue. I don't know. I doubt we'll be doing an MFN, a formal MFN. We'll do a casual MFN the next 2 weeks. We had our Life Day mandatory fun night tonight with the guild, which was fun. We had holiday music in Plug DJ. We had holiday Life Day trivia about Life Day, Star Wars lore trivia. We had snowballs and Wookiees, and we killed the Grinch and his minions, which was cool. And where's MFN going to take us into the new year, Seema?
So, we're already switching over to we're already switching over to engineering encryptions. We mentioned last week that we would be doing that soon, and it has happened already due to our just sort of blowing away conquest targets from week to week. So we opened up a new room in our pub flagship tonight because of that. And yeah, it's never required that you donate those things, but if you want to, it's engineering that we're looking for now. Let's see, what else should I say about that? Coming at the end of December, we're going to go back to rotating our conquest focus. Right now, we're still doing imp, large, pub, medium, just because it's just easier. But starting on 12/31, we're going to go back to rotating.
Yes.
And that's about it.
Yeah, I think that's going to be exciting. We were waiting until everybody got sort of finished getting geared up and was prepared for it. And now, as our guild likes to do, we've got a guild on both sides. I like the fact that we rotate back and forth, and then we'll be large on the side that aligns with that week, and aligns with where we're focused on MFN for the week. Like this week, it was a Republic week for MFN. We'll be large on the MFN faction side, and we'll rotate back and forth. And finally,
there are a bunch of Killiks in here.
There's a control in the back that you can decide how many Killiks, how dense you want the Killik population.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah, it is.
This is a cool
I
place.
like it when they have like living things.
I totally like living things. And those are my favorite decos, is the personnel that have animations, as I say all the time. Also in community news, don't forget, we have about 2 weeks left on our Trace KogASS contest. We are looking for people to continue to send in your boss kill picks out of Duxin. DuxinContest@newoverlords.com. Send me those picks. You'll be entered in the drawing, random drawing out of all the picks and all the entries that get sent. So send them in. I'm seeing some really cool shots, like teams lined up in front of the Apex Predator kills and looking really good. Send them in. As it was posted in the Reddit description with people asking questions, if you completed the operation and you didn't happen to take pictures of it and you'd still like an entry, take a picture of your achievement screen, send that in. I will count that as entries for each of the bosses as well. Trace KogASS, 1 billion credits. That's what's on the line, folks. So if you want to join in one fell swoop, join the Trace KogASS Club, you can do that with us. Feel free to do that. And also, shout out to the chat room. Thank you, everybody in the chat room, checking our audio levels, answering our questions, making us seem smart, and making it fun for us to do this live. We really appreciate that. And the fact that you've been doing that with us now for years, for many years, we appreciate that too.
We're all crazy.
And now it is time to talk about PvP, ranked PvP. To kick it off, and I was going to do this in the reverse order. So KogASS, I was going to ask you to, how do I prepare for it? Then what are the strategy for getting into it? And what are the first matches I should do? I'm gonna scratch all that. We'll get to that. But the number one question, the reason I'm asking, where did you go? Show off. Let's show off your weapons again. I'm gonna come back out by the bridge in front of the castle.
Okay, I was exploring the Killick's cave because I haven't seen this part yet.
The blaster pistols on fire. So the way this worked, and why don't you explain what season they came out in originally and how they rotated back, because they're back, right? They're back.
They're not back yet. So originally they came out as a part of season 3, which was everybody's favorite season by far. It was 3.0 days. Lots of people were queuing. They came out with these. They came out with the Fury's armor sets. They came out with the mount that came with it. I forgot how it went.
I think it was a flaming
Rancor.
Rancor.
It was one of everybody's favorite. The Rancor was season 1. This was the like Kai Zykin's hot rod. It was a hot rod 2-legged one. Not too many people got that one. That was a gold one. It was hard to get that. Let's see. The weapons here, I think they required a rating of 1350 on one tune. And that back then you weren't able to actually just farm tokens. You had to get the rating to get the reward. Got it. So I was lucky enough to get that on my main Juggernaut because I was really going for that lightsaber. And once you got that 1350, you got all of the weapons. So as I swapped out to, play my Merc, I was like, well, let's go see those Furious weapons because the sniper rifle does the same thing. It's just really long sniper rifle that's on fire. Same with the cannon. Now that's where they came from. And
so KogASS was showing these off to me on his stream yesterday as well. When you change the color crystal, it changes the color of the flames. Look at those things. That is just these. Oh, look at that. You got the white fire.
Oh man.
All right. So
that is cool with the different colors.
I mean, here's my damaged weapon tuning, which gives a little bit of smoke and fire, and it even looks better with these are the Nico blasters, which I've got the other ones with the open sides. It looks a little bit better. So there's a little bit of smoke, a little bit of fire, a little bit of sparks. but it's not that. And with the color changing, that's just really cool. And then you can add a weapon tuning to it as well.
Yes, you're still able. They at first didn't have everything coming out with weapon tunings. Eventually, they got to these weapons and gave them the weapon tunings.
These are spectacular. So to be clear, I PvP once in a while. I find it kind of fun. I'll exclusively do just regular war zones. I like the objectives. I've done PvP quite a bit over the years, enough to to be high valor ranks on a few characters. I don't even PvP on this character. I haven't really in years, and it's valor rank 84. So I've PvP'd. However, I want those blasters. So the purpose of tonight's episode is for me to ask KogASS all the questions I need to know to see if I will. And I may not. Someday, and that day may never come, I may play ranked PvP to get these blasters. So I don't know.
Well,
I don't know if I'm going to do it. But if I am, KogASS is going to tell me tonight how I do that. So starting there, KogASS, what do you think it will take in terms of either the currency or so? I mean, will I have to get like
how does it all work?
yeah, it's
End
just
game. How does it all
silver,
work?
gold currency to get the weapons, the reward part. Let's start there.
Let's just so everything is going to be based off of, or you get your tokens regardless. You get rewarded for doing your daily and your weekly, and then you also get rewarded per match tokens.
Okay.
A win gets you about 100. A loss gets you about 10 to 20. I forget. One of the bug sets in there is that the only way you see how many you get per match is by the scoreboard. It doesn't actually populate in your chat. How, whenever you finish a match or PvP, it tells you everything you get, the credits, alignment, all that stuff. It tells you everything in ranked matches except for the amount of tokens you get. It's been a bug in there for a long time. I don't think the devs know about it. I've always been meaning to take a snapshot, but I always forget. So you can get those are just playing ranked will get you your tokens. Dailies get you about 150 ranked tokens, and then the weekly gets you 1,000.
Okay.
So, and the way it works is you have to get 50 points. It's not win or losses directly; it's points now. So you have to get those. You have to get those 50 points. A win is worth 5. A loss is worth 1. What ended up happening was a few seasons ago, people were just kind of trying to go through and just lose their way to get the weekly so that they can get mats for crafting.
Mm-hmm.
And the devs were like, we don't want that. So they changed the way to get them, and they made it so you had to get 50 points, which is, 10 wins. And then, or you can just keep going with anywhere between 10 wins and
50 losses,
or less 9 wins and 5 losses, and any number of combination to get the weekly done.
Okay.
So that way you're still able to get tokens, but I guess it's kind of discouraging you to if you're just losing all the time to not queue into ranked, because when you're playing ranked, you're playing with really skilled people most of the time. So the question that we have to answer is, how many tokens will the blasters cost?
Yes.
And that is a question. That is the answer we will not know until the season's over in 6 months.
Okay. So they don't
historically
post
speaking,
the price until the season's over?
They don't post the price until the season's over, until you're able to actually purchase them. Now, the first season, everything's available. They're at a discounted rate. So right now, you can get the new ranked rewards from season 11. You get those for 50,000 tokens.
Okay.
So 50,000 for the whole set. Lightsaber offhand, pistols, sniper, dual saber, all those.
Yep.
The previous seasons, in season 1, it was, I believe, 50,000 per individual weapon. So they make it more expensive for the older season stuff that is more unique. So you have to PvP more. So my guess, and this is pure speculation, is that it's going to be 50,000 either for both of them or each. I would hopefully like to say 50,000 for both. I would like them to do that, but I can never
Yeah,
give you a definitive answer on that because
that would be
we
a
don't
little
know until
unfair
it's available.
for classes that have to dual wield versus classes that don't. Um,
Right.
so
Is that so that they don't, so that people don't do ranked until they get the number of the currency the amount they need and then just quit queuing?
They will go into that a little bit more. That's kind of what they've done with the season 12 changes, where you have to get a certain number of games in or a certain number of wins in before you actually get your rating now. Uh, Before, if you got a rating of 1600 and that was gold, it didn't matter if you played 300 games or 30, you'd both get the number of you'd still get the gold reward tokens, which was 30,000 for season 11. Now this season, in order to get the gold rewards, you have to get 100 wins and the rating. So you can't just
Right.
grind out the rating and then stop playing. You have to grind out the rating and keep playing your matches in order to get the rewards.
Mm-hmm.
hmm.
And it's hard. I'm not gonna lie, it is hard to get up there in those tiers. I would do the math and play it safe and say bronze tier. Bronze tier is usually last season is 1200. Usually is the benchmark for it. It looks like I'm reading everything here for solo. It was 1225. So you can expect maybe a 1225 or 1250, anywhere between, I would say, between 1200 and 1300, depending on the length of the season. The longer the season, the higher they're going to bring up the rating requirement because it's more of a time. It's something they've said in the past. So
Interesting.
let's do the math here and say, it's going to cost, guess it's going to cost 50,000 tokens. You'll get 7,500 from your bronze tier, and then you're going to be able to get the rest are going to have to go through your actual playing. And so that's going to
Wait,
be
say that again. How
the
much
whole
for the
goal of
bronze
it.
tier? How,
7,500 was for
okay,
bronze tier. So you
7,500.
get 75 a crate of tokens per tier that you earn. Or for the tier that you earn, not per tier. For the
Okay,
tier that you earn. So if you got bronze, you get 7,500. If you got silver, you got 15,000, and if you got gold, you got 30,000. So the higher tier you get, the more you get in rewards.
got it.
So, but again, it's hard. It is hard to get up into silver and gold tier, and not to mention top 3. And those are really hard to get.
Yeah. Well,
A lot of time has to be dedicated to that.
I wouldn't even be shooting for higher tiers in necessarily. I mean, I'm not gonna just go after that right
Right.
away. So say I could get bronze tier, then I've got the 7,500. I still need another 40 45k 42k.
Right. And that's going to be earned straight through playing for the weekly and playing the dailies. Dailies are, like I explained, the weekly. You have to get,
1,000 for the weekly.
50 points. 50 points
Yeah.
to get it, and a win is worth 5, a loss is worth 1.
Wow.
So you get that. The daily is 10 points. So it's really actually beneficial if you're able to log in, get a win, or get a win or and a couple of losses, or a win and a win, and just log out and call it a day if you just want to do that. But it's gonna be a grind either way for that 50,000. And if you're able to log in, get the wins on a daily, get your daily done 5 times, you're gonna be able to get the 1,000 from the weekly, and the wins, and is gonna be about 500 for the wins for the weekly, and then it's going to be, give or take another 100 or so to include the losses. So if you're able to get
And what does
the
the daily
weekly,
get you?
150.
150 for, okay. So 150 for the daily. So you do 5 of those. Then you've got, so that's 700, 1K. You up to about what? You're thinking 2,500 potentially a week if you do it all.
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's a lot. That's a lot of work in a week. And then that's only 1 week. And then you got to do it potentially. So 8 times, at least 8 weeks. Am I counting that right? 4, 5, 20, no, 16 weeks? 16 weeks. Really?
16 weeks sounds about right.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a lot. That is a lot. Okay. All right.
It is. So here's the thing: is that you have this season to go for it, and once this season's over, and they give us the rewards, uh, they're still available until the next season is over. So they're still at that discounted.
Okay.
I'm doing the air quotations here. They're at that discounted price until the next season is over.
So I could
So you
still
don't have
get
to
the
get that
season
entirely done.
12s. Okay.
Right. So season 12 is right now. So when season 13 is over, that's when they're off of their discounted price, but they're still always available.
Okay. So if I just wanted the blasters and I was going to do that until, so say season 12 lasts until Anaheim, till Star Wars Celebration, so August. And I think that's probably optimistic that it would potentially even end in August. But say it did, say
6 months.
Say season 12 ended at Star Wars Celebration for August, then season 13 starts. Then I have till the end of season 13, so I have potentially a year that I
Yes.
could be working on this to get in those 16 weeks. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. So that's in my head. All right. So there's the baseline. So there's the target. Now, as I said, I've PvP'd quite a bit. But I've only done regs. I like the objectives. As you're doing regs, as you're just queuing up for PvP, you get the arenas. So I get it. I've done plenty of just the 4v4. I get what it's like. I use not worried about the mechanics of that. I do have some questions though about once you start queuing into ranked. What is that like? What's the difference? How long do those queues take? What is the community like? So let's get into some of those questions. So just starting off, and I asked you some of this last night, so we'll drill into it a little bit more. I would want to min max my gear, and I would be fine with doing that. I would get all of the consumables, and you let me know that everybody just uses the Warzone consumables because they're the ones you want for the med packs especially. I will get some grenades. I don't use grenades currently in PvP, but I use pretty much everything else. One little side note that you mentioned in one of our discussions about PvP gear and min max was you use some accuracy. So you do you go 110 accuracy on your character?
Yes, I actually do. And I know a couple other players go with 110 accuracy. There's a big old debate between PvPers. Should you go with 0 accuracy? Should you go with 5%? Should you go with 10%? I personally just go with 10%. I feel like there is abilities that people use to try to reduce your accuracy. Diversion is something that people like. So just having that extra 10% could be helpful, could not be helpful. It's just less of a headache for me since I also do nightmare rating to not worry about
Yeah, then you just keep your same
Right.
accuracy.
Yes.
I purposefully arranged
Maybe just
my.
change out the stim.
And I'm here on the test server. This is not my current set. So I've got my concentrated fire. I think that's what I'm wearing. 6 pieces of that. That's my normal set for either IO or Arsenal. If I was going to PvP on my mark, and we'll talk about that in a second, I've arranged it so my implants and earpiece are where all my accuracy lies. I could just swap those out. I tend, and I have historically played with 0 accuracy for PvP, and
Okay.
and had good luck doing that. I may do that. I may not. It's interesting that you're saying that you like some of that accuracy to account for that sort of debuff situation. I may try that out a little bit. See how that goes.
Yes, and that's just something on personal preference between players. It's an argument, and people would say, I don't understand why people argue about it. You play how you want to play. You play to your style and find
Yeah.
out what you like.
Well, people like to argue about anything. So I will reset my utilities. Difference between PvE and PvP. There's certainly a different utility set that everybody would need to consider if you want to optimize for PvP. So I'll be doing that. let's talk about classes though for a second. And you had a couple people who were in chat. Sorry, I moved to my strong here. Let me invite you guys over to my my stronghold here again, because I'm playing with some decos while we're talking, and I'll walk around and unlock some stuff so people can be amused visually if they're not into the PvP talk. But the class, I normally PvP on a Madness Sork, and that's what I've done. And in regs, you know, prior to 6.0, it was great. I had fun with it. I would come out of matches where I would be #1 on DPS and healing, unless we had some good healers. Anytime you have a dedicated healer, they would out heal my off heals. But it wasn't a problem to throw down a few million on DPS and 1 million on healing, and do really well. I know Lightning Spec is performing better just on specific, especially single target damage. In the larger group, when we're going 8v8 in regs, Madness is great because the dot spread is slightly more effective than when you're just going off of a group of 4 that knows how to spread out and avoid that. So I could play on my Sork, and I would only do it on my Sork or Merc. So I'm deciding between my Sork, Madness or Lightning, or my Merc, Arsenal or IO. Where are you at based on the things you heard last night and what you know and sort of what you're thinking? I'm most comfortable PvPing on a Madness Sork, but that aside, I play my Merc all the time as well. I could probably PvP relatively good on an Arsenal Merc. I would prefer not to IO Merc PvP. And I don't know about Lightning because I've never done Lightning in recent history.
Right. So as the season's going on, I have friends who have been playing all the classes in ranked, and I talk to them. And this is something that we kind of brushed. We talked about the tokens, but we didn't say the tokens are bound on pickup. They're not bound to legacy. So you definitely want to just pick one class. If you want to buy a specific goal, you want to pick not one class, but one tune specifically to get your tokens on. With that being said, to get back to your answer, the Merc is actually performing really poorly in ranked PvP.
Okay.
Ranks and Juggernauts and Mercs are both performing bottom tier. Sorks, Madness works. Lightning Sork is really good, especially with that Stormwatch. Mm-hmm. It turns one of their lightnings into a dot, and people really you can't just kite it. And it's a good closer to do damage to people. It's just extra, I believe it's almost extra 10k damage on somebody when it's just going through. So it's a lot of extra damage that you get just for doing that. Of course, Madness always works just fine. Madness with its dots, it'll work out a lot really well. There's lots of melees, and that gets into the whole meta of ranked, and I'm not sure if we want to go down that rabbit hole tonight.
The metas and combined with other characters.
The metas the group composition.
Yeah.
Who to attack, who to leave alone, who to CC, who should be second, who to go if other people stealth out.
And that's part of the reason I'm a little bit more comfortable on the Sork than the Merc, because of a little bit more utility and defensive cooldowns and the assassin shelter or whatever it's called on the Sork. I don't even know what my abilities are called, but I can stay alive a long time on a Sork, longer than I can on a Merc in PvP.
And the Merc cooldowns aren't as effective as they were before the expansion.
Yeah.
Phase Walk is still fantastic for Sorks. Phase Walk and the God Bubble that they have.
Yeah.
Phase Walk is probably one of the best things to use. You're taking damage at 20%. Phase Walk completely out, and you dark heal yourself and heal up before you re-engage. It's a very good tactic to use.
Yeah. All right, so I may then I'm thinking that Madness Sork may be where I start, and I might dabble in Lightning a little bit if I feel like it. Again, that's if I do this. What about you, Seema? What class will you be ranked PvPing on?
Well, not my Merc.
So
I can confidently say not my Merc.
Well, I guess let's just ask the question on the side. What about the healer specs? Which healer specs are sort of preferred in ranked
Strong.
PvP right now?
Right now, Merc healers are doing really well, and operative healers. Sorc healers are. You
I
have
mean,
to know your
definitely my Merc.
class.
That's what I meant to say. Definitely my Merc.
So for Merc healing, in strong, the operative healers are doing very well as well, and that's because of their set piece bonuses. Lots of Mercs are able to do things with their set piece bonuses. Their amplifiers really help out in PvP as well as the tactical, from what I understand.
Is it
Just
periodic
sword healing
restoration
is
or no? It's not. I forgot which one it is for them. But yeah,
I mean, I did a little ranked on my commando, and what I found is that, and this was a while ago, so it may not, like, everything's different now, right? Because of tacticals and whatever. But
because of tacticals and new set piece bonuses. Everything out is from 5.0 days is out for the window.
what I found is some of the things that are most valuable to use were things that, as a PvE player, I didn't even have on my buttons.
yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so there's a, well, I think everyone knows there's a learning curve for PvP in general, but it was just interesting. Whereas when I PvP'd on my operative, not the same. It was like still you lose a lot of the same abilities, but there's just some cooldowns that I just never used in PvE on my Merc, on my commando.
Hmm. So when Seema gets her commando all ready to go, then I'll bring her in with me, and we'll do some of that.
Yeah.
All right. Another thing that I wasn't clear on in terms of getting into ranked, I've been in ranked matches before. I didn't realize, and this is you sort of were mentioning it when we started talking about this. What's the deal with the first 20 matches, and what does that mean?
So the first 20 matches, your rating doesn't show up until your first 10 matches are over. However, I have so many tunes that I play on. There's times when you want to get high rating and you realize that everybody starts at a baseline of 1200. You're able to find this out by going to the website and then looking your character up on the leaderboards. And you look at that, and your first 20 matches or so are worth many more points, at least double points, than your matches that you play throughout the season. So your first, I would say, 3 or 4 matches are worth plus or minus about 40 points. And then the first 20 matches after that average out to about 20 to 25 points worth of each. So those matches, are your first matches, and they're the ones that are worth the most numerically. So a win or a loss in your first 10 matches is worth a lot, and your first 20 matches is still worth really well. So even if you don't get the rating that you want out of your first 10 matches, your first 20 matches, you may still be able to get that rating, and then, just kind of play with it from there. But with the addition of a required number of matches won with the season now, that kind of is irrelevant because you still need to get those matches in to get that gold rating. You can't just get gold out the door.
Okay. So but I'm gonna be new to it at best. I wouldn't expect to be performing my best on those first 20 matches. So what if I get in there and I do terribly and say I lose the first 20 matches? Am I like ruined for what is that
Oh
gonna?
no, you're not ruined. Absolutely not.
Where's that gonna leave me then?
That's just gonna put you. It'll put you in the lower bracket. It'll put you. It'll be a little bit rougher to climb out. Some people do really poorly on their tunes and then just stop playing that tune and play an alt for the rest of the season. And that's something I could, if you have a second Sorc or a Sage that you want to queue up on before you actually queue into your ranked,
Yeah.
into your main, that could be a good option for you, just so you can
Especially
feel.
now, since you can just give the all the gear over.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
That's
That's
I
something I
see.
could
Just to
recommend if you have
practice
a
a little bit
alt
and
you
get
want to
used to it
see.
and get a feel for it.
Hmm.
Say if
Absolutely.
I'm just going for that 50K currency, does this even matter though? So I still need to get to bronze, right? Because I want to at least get the 7,500. But say I'm just going for, I don't, I just want the 50K. I just want the blasters on fire. Then does it matter? What if, I mean, if I end up in the lowest bracket and I'm, I don't climb out or whatever, as long as I'm doing my 10, my 50 points for the week and my I do 5 dailies or whatever, am I still fine as far as that goes?
Well, it all depends. That it could be more, it could be less next season. It's probably going to be more. They said that they were going to start upping the amount of tokens you get per tier. However, you still have to get into that tier rating, and you don't know
so
if you're in that tier rating until those first 10 matches are done. And the only way you can actually see how you're doing before your ratings revealed on with your PvP section is by checking it out in the website, and that updates every 2 hours. So you may get 3 wins, 2 losses. You want to see where you're at. You'll have to wait 2 hours or for that to refresh before you actually see where you're going. And sometimes people don't. The first season I played, I didn't get bronze at all. I didn't place into it at all. I had to grind out to get the weapon set the old-fashioned way without any tiers.
Okay.
To help me out.
So that would be the worst case. Say I didn't even get to bronze, then I would just have to grind out an extra 7,500 on top of the other 4,250 that I was 42,500 that I was looking to grind. Okay.
Yes.
So I know you did this, KogASS, but is it going to work the same way now? Whereas if Max decides to PvP on his Sorc, will he be able to buy burning pistols, or will he only be able to buy burning lightsaber?
You should be able to buy any reward that you want with that tune that you have. So you shouldn't have to worry about the character who would use it, because it's all bind to pickup. And so if you want it for an alt, they make it so that you can do that. They're not that mean. They're mean when they don't want to let you. Right. They're mean by not letting it be all bound to legacy and making it easier. But they're not that mean to let you only buy things for that tune.
Got it. Okay.
Oh, it's bind. So it's bind on use, or
the
weapons
tokens
themselves,
or the rewards.
The weapons.
The
weapons
reward.
are bound to legacy.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, they are bound to legacy. Okay, I thought you just.
And that was one of the big reasons why people would want to do ranked, is that the weapons would always be bound to legacy, and so you'd be having something to show off.
Right.
Got it.
Cool.
Got it. All right. Interesting. This really helps. I mean, this really clarifies it, the idea of what's out there. All right, so let's talk about some of the peripheral things. And one of the main reasons that I would be less inclined to continue, which is, how what's the toxicity like? I have a low tolerance for people really being jerks. I think there's no reason for that, and and I've got other things I can do in my life. I don't get angry myself. I don't yell back at people, but I will just say, fine. If that's you, that's the way you're gonna be. I'm done. I'll catch you later. How's it been lately? What is your? I mean, how do you deal with it, or is it really not a problem and not something that people need to be as concerned about? What's your view there?
Everything's all sunshines and unicorns. Unfortunately, it's not. Burn community is very, very toxic. Unfortunately, people get upset. They take it very seriously. They want their wins. They want their rating. They don't want to lose. People get angry. It's why when I started after season 9, I definitely took a step back, and I was definitely a part of that. Where I was just like, I put a lot of time and effort in season 9 to try to go for that platinum rating, and so whenever there was somebody on the team that was really bad, I would get upset because it was just one loss when I got up past 2,000 rating. One loss equated to 3 wins. So every time I had one loss, I had to make it up by winning 3 matches.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how much that's how little my wins were counting for and how much my losses were hurting me. So people take it very seriously. Toxicity can get pretty high up there. Um, the best way I've dealt with it is maybe kind of joke around with it. They get angry, they get mad, you suck, you're terrible. I was like, yeah, that's why you're here to carry me. Just carry me. I don't see why it's so hard. Why can't you just carry me? And then if there's somebody who's on the other team who's really good, I would just say, hey, that person's able to carry me. That healer can carry me. Why can't you carry me? If you were a better healer, you'd be able to carry me. Then they just get more toxic. They get more angry. And I
But at
personally,
least you
I just
feel
have
better.
fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I personally have fun with it. I know I'm one of the rare breeds. Other times it does get to me where I just have been like, come on, guys, keep talking. Because I don't have, like you, Max. I was like, I don't have to be here.
Right.
Nobody says I have to queue, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to queue. You don't have to be in there to do ranked. You don't have to. You can just, now it it definitely doesn't look good when you either leave a match early or you throw the match.
I would never do
And,
that. I mean, and I
oh, you know what? I've said the same thing, and I can tell you, due to toxicity from other players, I have thrown matches.
huh.
It was like, you know what? It's the last night of the ranked season. I really just wanted to get a couple of games in for fun. You guys are being really toxic and rude. I don't have to play this game, really importantly. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where they get angry, and sometimes you're just like, you know what? Just forget you, man. Just forget you. I'm not gonna worry about you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, I mean, you joke about that, why can't you carry me? But I I really genuinely think there's a grain of truth to that, which is if you're so awesome and you're so good, you should be able to compensate for somebody who's a little, a little less. It's not like not everybody's queuing up all the time. Yeah, you're obviously not as good as you think you are. So there you go. Yeah. Okay.
So the toxicity is something to worry about.
But I'm,
it does get to you.
I'm a
It's
grown
just
up though too. While I would think it would be ridiculous. Well, I don't know. I've stopped.
I'm gonna remember that though.
I've stopped
just say
doing rank. I mean, I've tried rank from time to time, and I've ducked back out of it because I didn't like it. I like to think that I'm I'm a mature enough human being where I could just brush it off, but also I don't need to be around it either. And while I'm not gonna cry myself to sleep on my huge pillow, I also just if that's the people I'm spending my afternoons with, then I think I
Right.
also just think to myself, is that really worth it? I mean, are fiery weapons
Life is
worth
short.
just just like hanging around these kind of people who are gonna act like that? And it's not everybody. And the jerks will seem louder and more populous than they are just because of the nature of the loudest mouths amplifying themselves. But we'll see. I don't know. Given this conversation, I'm really thinking that I will at least try it. I'm certainly going to need to do a little bit of work. I will be doing it on my Sork. I don't have my complete set yet on my Sork, so I'll be getting my Sork. I'll be tuning up the amplifiers. I'll be augmenting that new set once I get it. I'm going to get on my Cybertech and craft a bunch of grenades. That's not a problem at all. I'll play a bunch of unranked still on my Sork, continue to do that, which I was doing this past week, and that's how I've been getting Conquest Target on that Sork, and it's fun. I like it. And when I PvP a lot, then my stress per match tends to go down. If I don't PvP very often, then I'm trying to remember all my cooldowns, and you get a little bit more stressed, and you're worrying about winning this one match that I'm trying to win for the daily or the weekly. When I'm PvPing quite a bit, it's certainly relax into it and easier to go with it. So
And then you
I'll
remember
dip my toe
you just
into
have
it.
to go behind a bush and heal to full.
Heal to full and make them pay. Yes, Seema.
Right.
There's the winning strategy. So I think Seema has just nailed it. KogASS, you and I, we laid out some good tips there, some things to think about, but Heal to full and make them pay. I think that's really the number one tip for how to succeed in ranked.
Also, right? Sniper, don't
Sniper, don't queue. that goes back to one of our other guildies, Thon, who was doing quite a bit of ranked in the last update to get the masterwork crystals, to get the 258 weapons, and ended up having people. He would queue into a match. He was
in one match.
on his,
Yes, someone said
sniper.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah, sniper don't queue was all that was said in chat the whole game. Sniper don't queue. It's so nice.
And he was playing a sniper.
Yeah, yes, he was. Oh, well, Stan was, to be clear. Yeah, but that's fine. Any final questions from you, Seema? I mean, this has been this plus being in your stream. Let me throw this out there for anyone else who's listening, and we'll mention it again in just a second. I was in KogASS's stream for probably about an hour and a half or 2 hours last night while you went through unranked and some ranked matches, and KogASS was great and just open to everybody who's in chat. Just pepper the questions out there. Throw questions out there. I was asking a bunch of these kinds of questions that we're discussing right now. Being able to ask those, get some things discussed. If you want to talk about any mechanics of what goes on in a match, he's playing the matches as it goes. It's really a great stream and a fun time to get some of that dynamic exchange around how things work and what you might want to do. I just punched my microphone. Did you guys hear that? I'm talking with my hands quite a bit now. I'm really into it. But it was great. So I really appreciated that. Really appreciated you coming on the show here. Any final questions from you, Seema, that you want to throw KogASS's way?
No, I just want to ask you, Max. I mean, have you decided? Are you going to go for the weapons?
I have not decided to necessarily go for the weapons. I think I have decided that I will dip my toes in ranked PvP. How about that? And we can follow that up in 2020. So because it'll probably be at least a few weeks before I'll be ready, and maybe I will, as KogASS, as you just suggested, maybe I'll try it on my Sage a little bit first, and then go over to my Sorc. I play them both the same. So I'll practice a couple matches, see how it feels, see what it feels like, and if I feel like I'm gonna go for it, at least for like a week, one step at a time, I'll go on my Sorc, and then we'll go from there. If I start to rack up some tokens,
I think KogASS's attitude is really the right one too. And you should just say, if anyone complains, we could just say, I don't know, you guys. My last team was able to carry me just fine.
Oh my God.
You know, when Seema heals me, we win every time. I don't know what you guys we're doing.
But my secret is I never heal him.
Just let him die. Sacrificial, Max.
Yeah.
My secret is I'm always angry. And how about you, KogASS? Any final tips or comments out there for me or for the community in general?
So I got one last thing, is that I've been PvPing ranked PvP a long time. I don't get the jitters as much as I used to. I naturally have very sweaty hands. I know it's probably not the coolest thing to admit in a stream or in a podcast, but I naturally got very nervous. I used to have just a rag next to me, and I'd get a pop, and the nerves would all kick in. I'd be like, oh God, why did I even queue?
Oh yeah, just that sound.
It's just you're like, okay, I'm gonna try it. It gets nervous. It is nerve-wracking. You're not the only one who goes through that. Everybody goes through those nerves, including myself. It's a part of it. It's all about facing those nerves and coming to terms with it, and you can do it, man. It's just a match. It's just a game. It's not a big deal. At the end of the day, I always put everything into perspective back into the Air Force. A plane's not going to crash and a pilot isn't going to die. It's okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Well, that's good to hear too. That's a good perspective. All right. Well, this has been awesome. As I said, I think we are ready to wrap it up here. Our EPC 321 droid is ready to broadcast this podcast. Let's start with you, KogASS. Once again, where can people find you? Where can they keep up with you through the week?
The two big things are Twitter, twitter.com/KogASS_, and Twitch, twitch.tv/KogASS, and then the underscore.
Excellent. And you can keep up with the rest of us, the SWTOR Escape podcast crew, on Twitter at Max the Gray and at AIESEMA. And if you know any cool people that should be playing the game with us or with KogASS, tell them to come find us at any of those locations. You can find our guild, Alaya Iacta Est, on Starforge. You can get to our guild website at aie-guild.org and ask us for an AIE Guild invite. We would love to have you there on Starforge. We don't do a ton of PvP in the guild, but we have some good PvPers, and you could jump in there and start up a PvP community with us. Who knows? Maybe I'll be leading the way. We'll see. But please do that, because that's why we do this show. We want you to come play with us. And with that, we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.
Great night.